Hey, it's Tamie M here of TamieMCoaching.com, empowerment life coach and creator of the Freedom Class. And what I want to talk to you about today is what to expect when you block the narcissist. Now, before I begin this video, I just want to quickly announce that we have a few spots available in the calendar this week for the free one-to-one consult with either myself or a member of my team for the Freedom Class program. So if that's of interest, stick around till the end of the video for the details on how to sign up for that free consult. And with that, let's get started. So let's talk about what to expect when blocking the narcissist. Now, I don't know where you are on your path, but if you're tuning into this video, chances are good the person that is of concern to you, you're starting to question whether or not they land on the spectrum of destructive narcissism. They're causing you some trouble without question in some area, if not every area of your life. And you're starting to realize that this individual or this relationship dynamic is seriously detrimental to your emotional, psychological, and likely even spiritual well-being. Chances are really good you've been through the abuse cycle of love bombing, devalue, discard a few times, right? Like we tend to cycle through that abuse cycle over and over and over again until we finally start to wake up to the fact that not much is going to change in this situation. And this could be with a romantic partner, a spouse, a family member, a parent, a sibling, a colleague, a boss. Like it's not just in our romantic lives that we have this experience. Wherever this is going on in your life, whomever this is happening with in your life, chances are good you're starting to realize it's time to take your power back and start taking better care of yourself. And often that starts by cutting off the narcissistic supply, blocking the individual across all platforms so that they no longer have easy access to trigger you and incite emotional response, emotional reaction that feeds their need for narcissistic supply. Now, as highly empathic people, when we begin to contemplate the possibility of cutting someone off to this extent, blocking them across all social media platforms, likely even email and on our phone as well, if we're serious, right? The first thing that will happen for most of us is we start to feel, oof, seems a little extreme. Maybe I'm being too harsh. We actually question whether or not we're the mean ones as we prepare to draw the line in the sand in this fashion. So if you're contemplating blocking someone across all social media platforms and possibly everywhere else in your life, and your immediate reaction is, oh, am I going too far? Am I being too harsh? Am I being too extreme? What you really want to give some consideration to is what you've been on the receiving end of. If someone has pushed you to the point where you are preparing to block them, no matter who they are, across all social media platforms, chances are really good this dynamic is extremely dysfunctional. That's the truth. Chances are really good what you've been on the receiving end of has been extremely painful. Chances are good, right? So blocking isn't about being extreme or harsh or mean. What it is about setting a very serious boundary, drawing a very serious line in the sand. And as empaths, newly recovering codependents or untreated codependents, if you haven't yet started on your path of healing and recovery yet, setting a boundary can be really, really difficult. Very, very hard if you haven't developed the muscle. This is a really good place to start. Uncomfortable as it may be, it's a really good place to start. Blocking someone who is harmful to your emotional, psychological, spiritual, possibly even physical and financial well-being, everywhere that they might have access to you, is not about being too extreme or too harsh or being mean. It is about extreme self-care. And when we're talking about the realm of narcissistic abuse, extreme self-care is very appropriate. This is about setting healthy boundaries, taking care of yourself, again, drawing a line in the sand and sending a very clear message. I am done. I will no longer put my hand up and volunteer to be your dumping ground, your garbage bin, your favorite target. It's a new day and it's not happening anymore. So you're sending a very clear message, setting a very serious boundary in a spirit of extreme self-care. And this isn't about, again, being harsh, being mean, and it's certainly not about revenge. It's about taking care of yourself. It's about finally standing up in a place of self-respect and saying, no more. Now, the thing is, when we're dealing with people who land on the spectrum of destructive narcissism, in other words, they are empathy deficient, lacking in conscience, we're talking about a highly toxic, deeply unconscious, painful, destructive human being. Many ways that shows up, right? Lots of videos that I have on my channel that go into the details of how destructive narcissism manifests. But the point is, when we're dealing with someone who lands on the spectrum of destructive narcissism, and we're setting this kind of very serious boundary, truth is, they're not going to like it. That's the truth. Like, you can surely with 100% accuracy predict that they A, are not going to like it, B, are not going to react very well. Why? Because their source of narcissistic supply, your high voltage, intense emotional reactions, all the energy that they're able to drain from you in that fashion and in other ways as well, all of that is being cut off, and they're losing control. Destructive narcissists do not like to lose control. They aren't very good at boundaries. You probably already know that if you've made any effort or attempt to communicate any sort of boundary. If you want to know who and what you're dealing with, say no to an individual. A healthy individual will have no issue with your saying no, setting a reasonable boundary, no problem. Someone who lands on the spectrum of destructive narcissism, however, their true colors will for sure bloom in full color for you when you say no, or for whatever reason decide to, try to set a boundary with them. So we can expect that there will be some backlash, right? They're not going to like it. And for a period of time, the volume on their negative behavior will probably get cranked up. It will probably get worse. It will probably get louder before it gets better. You can expect that. You can predict that with 100% certainty and 100% accuracy. These people are nothing if not predictable. Now, the thing is, if you fold when that volume gets cranked up, you lose all credibility, and it gets more and more difficult over time to enforce this type or any type of boundary with this type of individual, because they won't take you seriously. You've likely already had the experience, right? So it gets more and more difficult if we have a tendency to set the boundary, do the blocking, and then unblock and re-engage. The more we do that, the less serious they take us, and the more likely it is that we perpetuate the really dysfunctional, destructive, painful dynamic that is causing us so much grief in our lives, right? So once you get to the point of blocking this type of individual, it's vitally important that you hold your ground, that you stand firm. Let the storm come. And if you hold your ground and stand firm, what will inevitably happen is they will ultimately have to go somewhere else to find a source of narcissistic supply. When they realize that this time you mean business, This time you're not caving. This time you're not messing around. And that door is firmly shut and shut for good. And they can't gain access in order to get the response from you, get that hit, get that fix. They have to go somewhere else to get their energetic, their sick, dysfunctional, energetic, emotional, destructively psychological, sick, twisted needs met. They don't call them energy vampires for nothing. And the fastest way to get rid of someone who lands on the spectrum of destructive narcissism is to give them nothing, zero, nada. Hold your ground, stand firm for as long as you need to. And ultimately, the starving narcissist disappears into the ether because they absolutely have to get that hit, have to get that fix. They are junkies in that regard, right? So stand firm, hold your ground, do not cave. Even if you've caved 100 times before and you know that your credibility has taken a hit and they aren't taking you very seriously. I've been there myself, no judgment. We've all done it. We do what we do until it hurts bad enough that we're willing to do something different. In order for things to change, we have to be willing to do something different. So this time, give yourself the gift. Keep the door closed. Hold the line. And it's a matter of time, they will disappear into the ether. Now, that doesn't mean that they won't ultimately circle back and try to hoover you back in, but we'll save that for another video. That's another topic for another video. The point here is when you get to the place of blocking someone across all platforms, hold that line. Expect that the volume will get cranked up, things will get worse before they get better, but know that ultimately they've got to go somewhere else to get that hit, that fix, and leave you alone. And that is a beautiful thing. Now, the other thing that you want to be prepared for when it comes to blocking across all platforms someone who lands on the spectrum of destructive narcissism is, as I said, eventually, if you hold the line, they're going to go away. What happens then is we are left with ourselves and all of our own feelings. You know, when we're talking about this kind of a dysfunctional relationship, what's more often than not true is someone is always running, someone is always chasing, someone is always running, someone is always chasing, right? This person stops running, stands still, turns around, faces the person, this person starts running. This person stops running, turns around, faces the individual, this person starts running, right? Like this is the unconscious, dysfunctional game that goes on one way or another or many ways inside of these dysfunctional relationship dynamics. So when you finally say you've had enough of the pain, you've had enough of the abuse, and it's time to take care of yourself, take your power back, block them across all platforms. Eventually, they go off because they can't get their narcissistic supply, that sick need met from you. So quite predictably, eventually they will disappear into the ether, but now you are left with yourself and all of your own feelings and all of your own addictive biochemistry. And chances are good you're going to go through your own withdrawal. And that can be excruciatingly painful depending on the intensity of the dysfunction of the relationship, how trauma bonded you may or may not be with the individual, but that can be excruciatingly painful. When you know in advance that this is going to be part of the road that you're going to have to travel, you can set yourself up for success. It is fully your job to support yourself, take care of yourself, and meet your needs. And if you are in a place of breaking free from a narcissistic relationship, a relationship where you have been targeted, manipulated, gaslit, abused on multiple levels, it is your job to give yourself what you need to support yourself as you go through that biochemical withdrawal. It doesn't last forever, as difficult as it may be. And the big difference maker between succeeding or relapsing on the dysfunctional relationship is self-care. How are you supporting yourself? Are you working with a coach, a counselor, a therapist, a pastor, a sponsor, whoever it is, someone who specializes in these issues, understands these dynamics, and more importantly, the solutions, right? The solutions, understands what this is really all about, because it's not all therapists or coaches or counselors who really understand codependency and narcissistic abuse and recovery, right? So making sure that you are fully supported by people who actually understand the issues and, more importantly, understand the solutions is going to be vital to your success in being able to hold the line, heal, recover, and come out the other side better, stronger, wiser, more clear, more empowered, living your best life as your best self. So know that that's going to be part of the process, and that you can get through it, but white knuckling it all by yourself in a fetal position on the couch alone, the likelihood you'll relapse is extremely high. So as you prepare to set this very serious boundary and cut this destructive person off, don't think it ends there. Those of you who have had the experience before already know what I'm talking about. This time, set yourself up for success. Get yourself the support that you need one way or another. Be willing to ride the wave of the biochemical withdrawal that you will undoubtedly have to experience and endure for a period of time, to the other side. No different than someone who quit smoking knows they've probably got a good, 3 weeks, if not 3 months of jonesing that they're going to have to get through to get to the other side, right? No different than any other addict who is committed and serious to getting clean and sober. This is part of the journey and part of the process of healing and recovery. And again, if you're just white knuckling it all by yourself in a fetal position on your couch, the chance of success is very slim. If you set yourself up for success with the right support system, your chances for success go through the roof. And when that individual circles back, with which they undoubtedly will, because that's what they do, know that if you're in a strong place, you're going to be able to see it for what it is and hold the line and continue to take care of yourself. These people are master manipulators. They know all the right things to say. And when they come back with, baby, baby, I miss you, and baby, baby, I love you, if you've been supporting yourself and taking care of yourself, you're going to be able to see that for what it is. They don't miss you. They don't know the first thing about love. If they land on the spectrum of destructive narcissism, they don't have the capacity to love, not in a real, healthy, functional way. And because you've been well supported and taking care of yourself, you're going to be able to see that for what it is, and you're not going to buy into it. If you're over here in a fetal position on your couch by yourself, white knuckling it, that wounded inner child inside of you is going to be wide open and quite vulnerable to getting sucked right back into the painful, dysfunctional dynamic. So it's vital that you know that this is going to be part of the process, and that you set yourself up for success by supporting yourself with the right support system one way or another. whatever it takes. My friends, I hope you got some value out of this today. If you liked what you heard, remember to drop a like and a comment. Let me know what your biggest takeaway was. Share it with your friends if you think it would be helpful. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell to be notified when I post new videos throughout the week. And as I mentioned at the top of the video, we do have some room in the calendar this week for a free one-to-one consult with either myself or a member of my team for the Freedom Class program, my 8-week transformational coaching program specific to healing and recovery from codependency and narcissistic abuse. So if that's of interest to you, there's a link in the description below where you can apply to see if you qualify for a free one-on-one consultation with us. And with that, I'm going to call it a wrap. As always, I will leave you with this. Know your value, and unlock your freedom. Much love. Thanks for tuning in. Bye for now.